Shang-Chi. Is the hype real? Let's find out. Welcome everybody to my channel. This is Effortless Reactions. I do reactions to movies, been doing a lot of the Marvel stuff. Anyway, I am here to review Shang-Chi that just came out on Friday. Now, the reason I wanted to do this review is because I've seen so many reviews that have come out on YouTube and that I don't necessarily agree with, and it actually kind of reminds me a similar trend to when Captain Marvel came out, which is one of the movies that probably in the lower tier of the Marvel movies. I think most people can agree on that. Where the people were saying how the box office was good and how it was so great. And like I said, I think that one was in the lower tier. And so I was a little skeptical. I watched the movie, and although there were so many parts of the movie that I truly did love, and I will get into that I really enjoyed, overall as a movie, I don't agree with the overwhelmingly positive reviews. So here is my personal review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Hey, can we get real for a second? We've been friends for 10 years. I know that you don't like to talk about your life, but a guy with a freaking machete for an arm.
Now, the way this movie starts off, I actually really enjoy. If I could actually rate the first half and the last half, they would be almost night and day, because it actually started off really cool. There's a lot of things that I really enjoyed watching that I'll get into. But first off, I just want to shout out to my sponsor. No, I'm kidding. I don't have that. First of all, I just want to say how I rate movies. I kind of do it, people have 2 thumbs up and 5 stars. I do it the way, like in school, A, B, C, D, or F, A minus, B plus, stuff like that. Now, my main criteria is if it's entertaining. To me, that's like the pass, fail. Entertaining, not entertaining. If it's entertaining, it's going to get D minus or above. If it's entertaining, that's the main criteria. And then after that, we can get into character development, storylines, the plot, the acting, the cinematography, the choreography, all that stuff we can get into, and that'll move it up the scale. But if it's not entertaining, which there's not that many movies that are like completely not entertaining, so there's not that many F's I give. In real life, I give no fucks. No, I'm kidding. But for the grading thing, I don't really give that many F's, but I also don't give that many like A's or A plus, because there's very few movies that are that great. Though Marvel, they do a good ass job of entertaining, and I would give a lot of their movies B plus. I mean, Infinity War, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier. Those are all, even Black Widow, that's a solid B right there. By the way, the first Iron Man movie is definitely an A. So, how does Shang-Chi stack up next to the movies that I just mentioned? Well, let's get into it.
Only talking, making major moves. My father trained me to be the 10 Rings' greatest weapon. On the road to riches, I can never lay around. But that's not who I am. Me against the world, I got my back against the wall. How did you find me? I always know where my children are. Me against the world, I got my back against the wall.
Seems like a nice fella.
First of all, the first half was, for me, much more enjoyable than the last half. There's so many things. I've got a list here of pros and cons, and almost all of the pros are in the first half and all of the cons are in the last half. And that's because, so let's get into it. The way it started off, I enjoyed the hell out of those fighting scenes, those chase scenes. I mean, that reminded me of, Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan being chased through Brooklyn for some reason and escaping through small holes and getting into a bus and, having to fight, 3 different people at the same time. All of that, it was great. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the very beginning when we saw the character of Katie and Sean, we thought that was his name, hanging out and you know, if you're somebody my age or around their age, I guess a millennial, whatever the fuck they call us, I think you'll really enjoy that. I thought that was pretty cool. And the martial arts scenes when they go to Macau, first of all, that whole part I wish was way longer. I wish that whole aspect, I mean, when they're fighting in the scaffolding in that big tower, and then they get into, you know, Shang-Chi fights his former trainer, which, you know, that's part of the cons. I wish they developed the characters more, especially that guy, because that would have been, you know, much more deeper when you know, when they're fighting each other. It would have been, you know, if you've seen the movie, it's an epic scene, and it would have been more epic if there was just a little bit more character development, who that other guy was. I'm sure comic book fans know. But that scenery was great. It actually kind of reminded me of Madripoor from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But when they're fighting in front of that big neon screen, that is dope as fuck. That was Shang-Chi at his best right there. The movie, you know. I also loved the Wong showed up fighting the bomb. I don't know what the fuck his name is. That's the one Marvel movie I have not seen, which is The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I've got to watch it, and I will do a reaction to it. But anyway, me being a big UFC fan, I like the martial arts aspect. I mean, they showed, you know, some dope ass martial arts. They showed Wing Chun and Tai Chi. You know, when I think Leiko and the Mandarin were fighting each other, which I thought was kind of cool. Although that's also part of the problem. They were trying to do too much of the traditional Asian cinematic stuff with the martial. It was just too much. It's like they got the Jackie Chan stuff sort of in the beginning, and then the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon right there, and then they also had you know. Also, it devolved into sort of a CGI mess. We'll get into that later, but let me finish with the pros here. The fact that they had like it's sort of this tournament. The guy who, if you're a UFC fan, kind of looked a little bit like Max Holloway. I'll put a picture up. But anyway, he's like a fight promoter, and he wants to get these people to fight. And they showed all the different characters they had. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought Long showing up was badass. You know, there were so many parts of that I liked. I wish it was a little bit longer, but they got back into the forest stuff, and then the last half was a lot of CGI forest stuff that, you know, made me look at my watch when I was watching the movie. And the first half did not make me do that because the camera movement is so quick, and you're chasing someone. I know the whole movie can't be like that, but, you know. So what I thought was there was not enough character development. You know, I did like Katie, played by Aquafina, and I also like Shang-Chi, but there could have been more character development for both of those characters. There could have been more character development for the sister. You know, there could have been. I felt like this movie, and I know it's not possible because, see, this is the problem with franchises sometimes, but this could have been an epic 2-movie. You know, kind of like a two-parter, like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, like where it ends when they're preparing for the final battle with the Mandarin showing up. Because I wish the first part when they're being chased for the pendant and all that, I wish that lasted longer. I just feel like since I had much more fun in the beginning, they could have extended that with just more. I mean, they had like 2 chase scenes, the scaffolding and then in the bus, and that was like 15 minutes, both combined tops. I mean, they could have had more of that. They could have extended it. In the meantime, developing the character, and you know, but they rush through it so quickly so they can get to, you know, to where they're gonna have the battle, and then that was the last half, and you know that also brought in a slew of problems. It was too much CGI where, you know, like for example, Endgame. They had a last battle and it was nothing but CGI, but it was great. We had enough good story. It was a long movie. We saw the whole thing, and it was a culmination of that. But this movie was the last half. As soon as they show up in the forest, you know, there's too much CGI, and I'm not a fan of the CGI cutesy animals that every show now has. I mean, Marvel already had it with Baby Groot. You know, there's Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian. There was the cat from the Marvel movies. You know, we don't need that. And there was some CGI creatures that just, they could have done it in a better way. And it reminds me of Black Panther because I really enjoyed the first half, and the last half had too much CGI, and it got me out of the story. You know, overall, I would rate this movie a C. Probably a C, and that's probably only the third C I've given a Marvel movie. Along with Captain Marvel and Iron Man 3. It's still entertaining. The first half is so great. I mean, there's like a half hour in there that is like some of the best Marvel shit I've ever seen. But, you know, the first half I would give a B+. But the last half I would give like a D-. And, you know, because I enjoyed the first half so much, maybe this is just my personal perspective, but I feel like they could have really extended that part out with flashbacks to get that character development, developing Katie, developing Shang-Chi's sister, whose name I forget, but we could have gotten much more character development. They could have really extended that first half, and I feel like that would have improved the rewatchability, but they kind of blaze through that, get to the forest part, and then they give so much exposition, and there's so much important stuff, and it's hard to get into because it's all CGI, and they have that oriental melody that just keeps going off every couple of seconds. It's like, I know you're trying to make that his theme song the way that Black Panther had the you know, had the drums, like those you know, those beats or whatever. This guy's gonna have the Oriental wind chimes or something. I don't know if that's offensive, by the way. If it is, I'm sorry. But it was too much of that CGI and so much seemingly important stuff that it started off so fun and less CGI and realistic that the way it was in the last half, it was not as good. So overall, I would give it a C. I do think you should watch it if you're a Marvel fan. It definitely will be important. And as far as the post-credit scenes, I give those an A++. Those were badass, you know. Fortunately, they can't save the movie, but I would give those an A. I would give the first half like a B+. The middle, especially the third act, is like a D-. So overall, my score is a C. But let me know what you guys thought of the movie. Do you agree with the critics? Do you disagree with me? It reminds me a lot of Captain Marvel. They set up how big the box office was and how everybody loved it. And now a couple years later, I think we're all in agreement that it was not as good as the reviews led us to believe. So give me your thoughts below. Thanks. Peace.